and welcome to Gamechangers. I'm one of you. Well, I'm your only host, Tim at Wembembo on everything, and this is going to be a semi-frequent show where we get industry professionals on to interview them about their opinions on the industry. I'm joined in our first episode by Andrew Bowen, voice actor, director, and writer, most recently known for his role as Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat series. Andrew, how are you?
Boom. I'm good. I'm better than you are. You're a little under the weather.
It's little under the weather, but we will get there.
But it was an epic road trip.
Phenomenal road trip,
right? That's what matters, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we covered the entirety of the UK, which is very, very fun to do. So we'll just be going through a few basic questions, and then we'll be getting on to some Desert Island Disc questions. This is something we're going to be doing as a part of the regular format of the show. Where everyone will be getting their own personalized questions, and then we'll always end on the same 4 questions for every single guest. So, I wanted to just briefly start by talking about your career, kind of as a whole, because looking through your IMDb, you seem to be fucking everywhere in my entire childhood. So you started, the earliest thing I saw was your appearance on Saved by the Bell, which I grew up watching. You were on ER, which my parents often had on when I was growing up. You were Neo in Matrix Path of Neo, which is something I remember going around to my friend's house and playing when I was younger.
Awesome.
Definitely played Ice Age 2, The Meltdown. I'm a massive Yakuza fan and a Catherine fan, and of course Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Star Wars The Old Republic. You're just all over the place, which is frankly a bit baffling when I was doing my research. But it's kind of to get an idea of what you're playing, what you're doing at the moment. What are you playing or watching at the moment? Like, what's going on in terms of your media consumption?
To my media consumption right now, like just right now, like just currently, currently we are watching Loki season 2. That's my current deep dive nerd bomb at the moment. No. And I'm happy to say that like they, you know, I think Marvel really, I think they started on a great point with Loki. Yeah. Like it was a high point, and you know, there's been so much since, and like this season 2 is like freaking nailing it. So that's my current consumption. I think before that I powered through Ahsoka and Winning Time.
What's Winning Time?
Winning Time is about the rise of the Lakers dynasty in the early days.
Oh, okay.
It actually only got 2 seasons, which is just baffling to me because it is one of the best series I've ever watched in my life, and I don't even like basketball. Like you don't have to. I don't watch. Okay, so first off, I'm like 6'3", and I'm pretty good at sports. I can do martial arts. I can dance. This, that, the other. I fucking suck at basketball. Horrible at it. And every time I go out, and there's a pickup game, and I would do that. People would say, they'd be like, "Oh, I want the guy who's like 6'3", and I'd be like,
"No, not it,
bro."
Like, I'm 6'2", and I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
like
that one is just not good. Not good.
I'm trying to think now. What was the name of the Netflix documentary that was Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls?
Yep. And there's one that's Magic and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, which is really what this series is about. But the thing about it is, it's like it's all based on real events, and I didn't really know. I mean, I knew. I mean, I'm not a dummy. I know who the Lakers are and this, that. Yeah, they're Magic Johnson, but like honestly, I don't imagine you could write this better. Like the shit that's happened, like I was watching on screen going, no, there's no fucking way that happened. And I looked it up and I'm like, yeah, it did. It was great. John C. Reilly, the whole cast, anyways, that was really good. So I recommend that to everybody who's watching. And Ahsoka was really good too.
So I'm still yet to watch Ahsoka. It's on mine and my girlfriend's list of things. We're both big Star Wars nerds, so it's good to know it's got a solid recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
But right now we're working our way back through the Clone Wars.
Well, the thing is like with Ahsoka, which is kind of cool, is like I didn't really watch Rebels that much. So I came into Ahsoka kind of raw, knowing generally of who the character was.
Yeah.
But not really much about the Rebels characters. But like you could have fooled me. Like I was so pulled into those characters right off the bat, and like I was just sucked in. I was like, it was the first time, honestly, I felt like I was really watching Star Wars in probably 2 decades.
Yeah, since like maybe original trilogy.
It felt like Star Wars. It felt like it had that core magic to it. So I fucking Dave Filoni, as far as I'm concerned, like give him the keys to the castle. He's got the shit.
Alrighty, so we obviously mentioned earlier your acting career kind of started with Saved by the Bell, but how did you get started in voice acting? What was your kind of entry into that? I honestly don't remember my first job. I always have been sort of very lucky, knock on wood. Commercially, I always worked a lot commercially, which is really what paid the bills. Lots of commercials. I think I've done like over like 150 over the years. So it's a lot. So, I ended up, I kind of am one of those faces that there's no way you haven't seen before. Sure.
But there's no way you'd be able to pinpoint it because it's like, with the commercials and stuff, it just goes by and you're like, oh, it's just that guy. I think it was just a natural. My agency had a voiceover division and when I had done Mad TV, when I came out of that, it was very much like, hey, Andrew, you could do all these dialects and accents and all this stuff. He said, you should really, put some energy into the voiceover thing. I was like, yeah, sure. So I jumped in there and I just started little jobs here and there. And then, slowly but surely sort of starting to get gigs over the years. And it's still a really tough one. I'll be honest with you. Like,
sure.
Like voiceover wise, like you'll audition for 100 before you get one. And I want to say it might've been, I think the first VO thing I ever really booked was I did a 2 seasons. I was the voice of H&R Block.
Oh,
this was way back in the day, like 2000, 2001, something like that, 2002, which was great. It was a nice booking. And then from there, I just sort of started doing it and, gotten some really cool gigs along the way, very lucky.
Nice. Well, in terms of roles that you're drawn to, you obviously mentioned that you like audition for hundreds and like you'll get maybe 1 or 2 at first. What kind of things were you initially drawn to, or what are your favorite types to really take on?
Oh, comedy. First off, like as long as if it's funny, I'm there, because that's just my jazz. So it's kind of weird because you don't. Sometimes you get the characters that you didn't think you would get, and then you don't get characters that you do want. But I've had a couple along the line that have been sort of like, I'd say sort of like the wins, which for me was like, it's always great when you can fan out. I fanboy as much as anybody else, and when I got to do, Keanu for Path of Neo, that was bitchin' because I got to be Neo, and then for Aliens Colonial Marines, I got to play Private Hudson, and Bill Paxton. I mean, he was still alive at the time, and they were negotiating with him to do the game. And my agent said, lay your thing down. I'm going to send it in anyways. And so they did it, and they sent it over. And it turns out that like matching it with the film, my impersonation of Bill sounded more like he actually did in Aliens than he currently did at his age. So they gave me the job.
Oh, fine.
So, which is fine. I mean, Bill's got plenty of work. So I got to be Private Hudson for like 2 days in the booth, and that was just, I mean,
that's
just
phenomenal.
it was so rad. It was so rad. And then honestly, Mortal Kombat was a real ended up being just a real gift, because again, it's I don't think I really knew how big the franchise was before I got into it. So I sort of was, even though I played the game in the arcade when I was a kid, but, it ended up being, I don't know, something clicked with Johnny.
Yeah.
Something clicked in my brain with Johnny, and I just fell into this pocket with him. It was almost like there's just a part of my DNA that I didn't know existed that just suddenly went, oh, hey, here we go.
Hey, this.
And so, and that ended up, and has been, because it's been almost a decade I've been doing it. Easily the funnest time I've ever had when I'm recording anything. We really have a good time. I think it shows too, because I think there's a lot of love at NetherRealm and with the creators for Johnny, and I think it comes through because there's just they put I think they put a little extra sugar on top, so to speak, especially in this last one. So
yeah,
I like I'm definitely drawn towards heroes. And I do like playing characters that I definitely prefer playing the underdog. In general, I like playing the guys that don't quite fit the square pegs in a round hole, because that's how I have always seen myself. So anytime I get to just do something character-y or something that's allows me to sort of be creative, I mean, that's always the best.
I mean, in terms of social media, it certainly seems like Johnny Cage is just the gift that keeps on giving. Because obviously you've been voicing him since Mortal Kombat X, along with obviously you voiced Rain and Smoke in that game as well. I'm trying to remember now if you voiced anyone other than Johnny in MK11.
Yeah.
So you got Johnny there as well. But
X11 and all the X and all the games since, like the online games and the other ones I've done since.
So the one question I've got that was supposed to be coming up at the end here, but it seems like quite a natural segue. Have you seen all the thirst traps on TikTok of Johnny Cage?
I haven't seen all of them, but I'm aware of them.
Sure.
I think it's funny because like I would say sort of like as far as social media goes, like probably my biggest presence is on Instagram.
Sure.
That's where I sort of that's where I think I put most of my energy. So like sort of my next evolution is going to be leaning into TikTok. That's going to be my next thing.
It's where things are going.
Yeah. Oh, of course. No. And I've been on TikTok. But I don't think within that world, I haven't really deep dived into the Johnny stuff yet. I think I'm probably just going to start by just stitching and like reacting to some of the stuff that's been out there. Just with my sunglasses on as Johnny, and just kind of start at that point.
Doing the whole middle finger thing.
Yeah, and then I think I might even just get into a point where I just start just like watching videos and just commenting as Johnny would on whatever's happening.
That could be fun.
And then we'll take it from there. We'll see what people like.
Call the account Real Johnny Cage or something.
Real Johnny Cage, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In terms of the people you've worked with, certainly on Mortal Kombat as of recent, it seems to be that you've developed a real friendship with people like Vic Chow, who obviously played Kenshi.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that there are other people on the Mortal Kombat team that you would definitely want to go back to working with again, or would you say there's like a dream person you would love to work with?
Well, I mean, the thing that's really interesting is that Vic and I didn't really get to know each other until this game. And we just happened to meet at a dinner, and we were sitting next to each other as fate would have it. And then we were like, we just started talking and shooting the shit. And that's how we sort of became friends. But everybody, within the cast, we usually have to record by ourselves. So we don't really get to see other people. So, I've sort of briefly met everybody, but Vic's probably the only person I've sort of, met the most, which is a bummer because there's been some amazing people on board.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have shit my pants to be in the, to be able to do the session when, John Cena was there, or
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. Oh my God. I would have lost my shit. Yeah, it would have been great. But I think like at this point, like if, the DLCs are always fun because I get to know who's coming down the pipeline way before anybody else does. And those are usually the most fun. But I've always said that, I mean, like I would love to see, I don't think it may never happen, but if they ever get Deadpool in,
that could be fun.
I will fight to make sure that me and Ryan are in the same room for that, because with how smart and fast his improv comedy is, sort of with mine, I think we will riff for 3 hours, and it'll be the funniest fucking shit that has ever been recorded. It'll go down in history as some awesome shit. I would love that. So, and there's sort of answering double my questions. Yeah. So, get Deadpool in, and everybody in the cast is, I think everybody does a great job, even though I haven't met all of them. I think they've done, everybody's really stepped up, and done their game. They're all really good actors. And I think it comes across. It comes across because it's, it's not just someone like saying lines. Everybody sort of, they take the time to really develop the character and put some emphasis behind it. So, which I think is what makes it cuts and what makes it personal.
Yeah.
Again, with like the Kenshi stuff, I mean, like I recorded the whole game. I read it all. I've been working on this thing since the pandemic. So, but I didn't necessarily see the Johnny Kenshi thing when I was reading it. Like, no. I didn't see how it was going to land. And I think that's total props to Dominic, the director, and the NetherRealm team of like sort of editing it right and putting us together, having these two completely different recordings from two different times, putting it together. And then it just sort of hit. And I was so impressed by it. I really dug it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I did not expect that. And then when I saw it, I was like, well, fuck, I want to see Johnny and Kenshi in a bunch of shit. Like, let them spin off and do like a Lethal Weapon series,
That'd be amazing. I mean, playing through the story, I didn't realize, like, I would have imagined that, like, certainly you and Vic would have been at least in the same room a lot. But if that wasn't the case, that's really impressive audio editing on the editor's part. It's because Vic and Johnny and Kenshi had a lot of scenes together.
Yeah, a lot.
So
hopefully, who knows? Maybe at some point down the road we can get a chance to do it together. That would be cool. But we can always keep our fingers crossed for that one.
Fingers crossed. In terms of Johnny, is there like any hidden lore from like lines that have been cut or behind the scenes stuff about Johnny as a character you could tell us, or that you can? Of course, I can appreciate NDAs are a thing.
Yeah. Like it's so hard for me to say because like there's so much that gets done, and sometimes stuff that gets cut ends up coming back later, and like. It's for me. I don't want to spoil anything for the fans.
No.
But I mean, there's been some moments. I'm always Dominic's so great, such a creative process when we do these, and Dominic and I think we just have this really great shorthand when we're in the sessions. And Dominic writes and directs all of these, and he's always open to improv and let me just rip. Once we got everything. And so like, I'll always do alts and just throw shit out there. And sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. I would definitely say I've improv some lines that I wish it came, I wish it made it into the games. But there's a certain tone, and I think the vulgarity isn't quite as bolsterous as I think it could be at times.
Sure.
And I think I've definitely had comments. I've definitely riffed off comments across from some of these characters that were hilarious, but didn't necessarily make it into the game. But again, like, there's some things that like, I don't know. So I don't want to spoil anything.
No, of course. Like, it's like you say, like stuff that didn't necessarily make the cut on this kind of lap could come back with the future expansion packs.
Mm-hmm.
Just a very, very brief question here. Do you ever go back and play the games that you featured in?
A little bit.
Obviously Johnny, but
obviously Johnny. But usually, like, I'm not like a consistent daily gamer. That's just not me. I mean, really, just because I don't have time. I just don't have enough time for it, and I have such ADD that when I go in, like, it's done. Like, I'm out. Like, you will not find me for like 8 hours. I've always told my wife that too. I was like, dude, enjoy me now because you know me. I said, all right, I'm going to, keep a hand back, limited from the gaming. until I retire, and then I'm getting fat. I'm getting a chair. I'm gonna fucking be surrounded by screens, and like, I will basically live on Twitch for my elder days, just kicking the fucking shit out of people.
That's a goal. That's a dream right there.
But I've seen almost 90% of them. I've seen, but it's also one of those things too where I know it sounds sort of corny, but when you record it, and it's sort of I've gotten to live each of these games and each of these characters. I've gotten to do it because I get to read it and perform it before it's all put together. So there's a certain piece of me that's like, even if I never saw it, I got to live it. So that's what counts. But Johnny, again, yeah, anytime I play, and I'm not very good, but it's very fun to jump. Anytime like I'm anywhere out, or I go to a friend's house or somebody's place and somebody's playing the game, I'm fucking there. I walk right over and I'm like, all right, mind if I jump in? And because they don't know it's me, and I'll get up and I'll pick my character, and then we'll start playing, and I'll start commenting while we're playing, and then they're like, "Oh shit," which is great because then I distract them, and I usually will win because I don't know what I'm doing. Because then I'm like, "Woo, you just got beat by a novice." But then if they beat me, I just give them props. I'm like, good power to you. So, yeah. Yes, I love gaming, and I definitely I will definitely be retiring to an epic amount of it. And like, I think the technology and stuff, I mean, VR is so close to hitting 60 frames a second, which is going to be they're going to get there, which is when you're going to put these screens on and you're not going to be able to know the difference between whether you're in your room or you're in the world. And it's already pretty close, but I mean, like, they're going to get there. And I think that's going to be a whole nother kind of, ball of worms that could be extremely cool. I got some good ideas too for some VR stuff. I think could be, trying to play with the tech. I kind of like this idea that I think would be cool to do something that allows you to be first person gaming, but at the same point allows you to sort of be the star of the story, where you get to actually be the lead character and you're interacting and you're doing lines with their characters because it's fed to you. And I think that could be a cool thing. So
that could be very cool.
Maybe I'll find an investor and we'll build the tech and do something cool.
Maybe. What would you say has been your most challenging role? Just kind of overall, not just within voice acting.
I'm sorry, I'm going to think here. You can edit this out.
No, of course.
Most challenging role I've ever done. Man, that's really hard. Everything I do is, I mean, to do this job, it's challenging. Yeah. Like you gotta know craft, and it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of focus. So there's definitely, I don't know. I think you just work through it.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything that like sticks out specifically right now. Because even if something is tricky or you're pushing the envelope a little bit, it's a collaborative process. So usually, with the director and the producers, like we always find a way to like work through it so we can get the best out of the end game. But when it comes out to me, I'll text you. I'll be like, hey,
yeah,
it was this.
And I guess the last question I've got kind of as a personalized question, before we move on to the Desert Island Discs kind of side of things. If you could change one thing about the gaming industry or the acting industry, what would it be? You could change it right now.
Well, we're already kind of to a degree in that, because the strikes are really about making sure that there are AI protections, which I think are really incredibly necessary. So I would have that changed, and I think it would be great if in the gaming world we did have some kind of share in royalties in some degree, because we don't have that. But I would basically add those. And the AI thing too is like I was on YouTube the other day and I was just pulling something up, some Johnny stuff, because I just try to watch everything because I love how creative people are. but I watched one thing and I realized that, I started listening to it and I was like, did they replace me? Like, did they find someone who's doing me? And then after about 35, 40 seconds, I went, oh shit, that's not me. That's AI. Because I could tell the way it just did this fluctuating thing was my voice. So my voice is out there. And my thing about it, which I think more than anything is like, it was like the worst performance I'd ever done in my life. Like if people thought it was me. So like my whole thing was like, okay, I just want to make sure people know that this was AI because I wouldn't have delivered that entire thing like that. Like, no, it would have never been that shitty. But I think because of that, I think that, if that's what they're able to do now, just imagine what it's going to be able to do. And I think that all of us need to have, we all should be able to have rights to how we sound and how we look.
Yeah.
And who we are. Those are ours. And if people want to use it, that's fine, but you should get, compensated for it. And again, yeah, I don't want anybody else to own my likeness indefinitely. Just because there's no protections in there. I mean, God forbid I do pass on and I built some kind of a legacy or a history and I have a career behind me. I would want my kids to have my likeness and have that as their rights so that, if they want to do something with it, great. I would trust them more than anybody else. And that way, they're heirs and they can, maybe make some money down the road. But I think anybody having that right, I think is it's just, AI is amazing. It's amazing. It's an incredible technology. It's just, literally the WGA, once we finalized that contract, that was the first time any sort of rules or, mandates have been put up against AI that are in contracts because no one's put any restrictions on it, which I think is crazy. So, I think like that's the whole thing is like, let's just put in some safeguards now to say you can do this and you can't do that. And then it becomes something that's a great tool that we can use to make things a little better and work things go a little faster. But, even the people who've developed this stuff, I mean, they went to the government and they were like, please put some rules on it. I fucking created this and I want you to put some laws down for it. And they're like, no. Well, there's got to be, with any technology, it's just if you don't put in some kind of, if you don't respect it early on and make some kind of a stance on how that is, and how that interacts with people and the communities and economics, you don't get it back. That's the thing. With contracts, like if you don't get it in the first contract, it's not written in, they ain't going to give it to you later. So you got to get it in now. So
that's it. I mean, it's obviously very, very important, especially for actors, voice actors, writers. Obviously, with the advent of things like ChatGPT, it's super, super fucking important.
Super fucking important.
So we'll just move on to the Desert Island Disc question, and then we can get to any final thoughts. Desert Island Disc questions, for those who are not in the know, it's a British broadcast where the interviewer will have a set of questions for the guest and then a set of standardized questions for the guests as well. So the whole point of this is if you were stuck on a desert island with one book, 3 albums, 5 movies, and 1 luxury item, what are we going with?
All right, the first one is one book, right?
One book.
Timeline by Michael Crichton. That would be my one book.
What's it about?
Timeline is it's sort of a time travel, sort of medieval times adventure story that basically, and Michael Crichton's the guy who wrote Jurassic Park and Westworld, and he's an amazing writer. And I mean, literally, by the end of the second chapter, he's explained quantum mechanics to you, and you understand it completely. You totally understand what quantum physics is. And that's impressive. Like, he makes it just so simple, and you go, "Oh yeah, well, that makes total sense."
Yeah,
and it's just got some cool twists and some great. They do some cool things with history and stuff in it, and I don't know. I think that's a great book. I think it would be a great movie too. I mean, they already made it once, but they did a shitty job. They should remake it properly. Second one was 5 movies? Three albums. AC/DC's Back in Black.
Solid choice.
Fuck. It would be a Zeppelin album, but that's so hard. Houses of the Holy? Probably Houses of the Holy. Or Zeppelin 2. Okay, one of the... I'm like this.
Sure.
I'm about to jump off the boat. And the third album... Oh, man. And I don't know which one it would be, honestly. But I think you would just be... I think life would just suck if you didn't have a Taylor Swift album with you. I mean, like, just in general, life would suck. So I would definitely have a Taylor Swift album. It is hard to say which one it would be. Last one was really good.
The co-host of my other podcast would be very happy with that answer.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So let's just say a Taylor Swift album.
One of them.
Put it that way. Maybe it's her greatest hits, or maybe it's the album that hasn't come out yet because, I'm not on the desert island yet. Five movies, right? 5 movies? 5 movies. Back to the Future, James Cameron's Aliens, Braveheart, A Fish Called Wanda. Fuck. What's my 5th? All right, I'm going to go 5th. I'm just going to go because I know that I'm going to be bored. And I want to watch, they're all good movies, but like you're going to watch them again and again and again. I'd probably the 5th one would be Point Break.
Okay, all good choices. And then lastly, the luxury item.
The luxury item, I don't know, penicillin.
Yeah, all right, makes sense.
Antibiotics, like a nice big old just giant box of antibiotics, like that would be cool.
I can't remember who it was that said it, but one of their responses was a big old thing of anesthetics. If they get toothache, it is over.
Yeah, exactly. The same thing, like some numbing agent or antibiotics. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But at least if it was infected, if you're taking the antibiotics, probably the infection would not be quite as painful while you knock out the tooth.
Yeah, with some sort of rock tied to a or something.
Dude, I don't know how. I watch that scene. I'm like, I can't even fucking fathom doing that. I can't even cut my own arm, let alone imagine like knocking out one of my own teeth. Oh my God, that would suck. It would suck. But again, also tooth pain.
Not having it.
Forget about it. No, I definitely would be. There's definitely more reward than risk to reward is the ratio is way high on getting that fucker out.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is everything that I've got there. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug? Any sort of upcoming projects or any social medias you're aiming at? Obviously, we mentioned your Instagram and your TikTok.
Yep. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of that. I'm pretty much on all of them. I'm Andrew S. Bowen. Let me see what to plug. Again, if you haven't played it yet, MK1's awesome, as are all the Mortal Kombat games. I made a really cool short that we're working on possibly getting set up as a television series. That's on Amazon Prime. That's called the 716 or the 716th, 716th. It's like 14 minutes. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy meets MASH in deep space. Super fucking fun.
I can get behind that, yeah.
If you guys want to be entertained, go watch that. I have another movie that should be coming out soon, or sometime towards the end of the year, called Along the Way, which is it's actually the first film I ever directed from a few years back. I just didn't get a chance to. It's a long process, but whatever. I finally got it to a point where I could go out with it. So it's a very 90s kind of funny, but kind of gritty, grown up Stand By Me kind of thing. It's pretty cool. It's called Along the Way. So that would be the three things that you can look out for, at least right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Again, you can find me at Wembembo on everything. Obviously, we've got our main Game Club pod lineup and the Fanatics pod, my other podcast. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Tim, thank you. And thank you for getting through this with like the sickness. Like that sucks.
It is what it is.
So hopefully on the next one, you'll be healthier. And
I'm hoping so.
And I won't feel so bad about being on the whole time.
All right, no problem. Well, thank you so much for your time, Andrew.
For sure. Thank you so much. Peace.